Welcome to week 30 of the Geek Week in Review. Stay tuned because we're going to dissect everything that's happened this week in Geek.
The Geek Week in Review.
Hello and welcome back to the Geek Week in Review with me, Jacob Toys, of course, the wonderful one and only SuperSorrell, and of course, Cyclops. No, I'm only joking. Ryan Speaks Geek.
If you I was going for Geordie LaForge.
I'm not a Star Trek person. If you're watching on YouTube, please do like, share, subscribe, all of those things. If you're listening on podcast, then please continue to download and play. All support there is very much appreciated. Check the description below. Give these gents a follow if you don't already do. And of course, subscribe to my channel as well. Gents, how are we doing this week? Week 30, episode 30. Geek Week in Review hit a milestone.
Crazy,
yeah, hit the big
30
big 3-0. Yeah, it's cool. And we've not killed each other yet, which is cool.
No.
You know, that's
in life. This is when people
thing.
start questioning their life choices at 30. So this is
exactly. Are we going to have like a midlife crisis on the show and kind of
a mid-season crisis?
But no, before we kind of get into the actual week in review, just kind of having a look back over the 30 weeks. It's been an interesting ride so far. I mean, it's definitely been fun. You know, we've got to give our props to the likes of obviously Marvel and Disney Plus and Star Wars, and of course places like Hasbro for providing us the stuff to talk about. But we've also had some brilliant guests. You know, we've had some great guests over the weeks. You know, notably Steve Evans last week was a load of fun. Had a really good time with him. Obviously Ryan, originally you were a guest, weren't you? One week,
yes.
You came in quite early as a little guest, and he's kept the login details and just hung around.
Yeah.
So
I hacked the system, man. I hacked it. I'm here forever.
No, don't be silly. We kept you on board because obviously it's good fun to have you. But yeah, I mean it's been fun. So just as we're on week 30, I'm throwing you on the spot a little bit here, guys. But what's been your highlight so far in the 30 weeks? Anything that stands out massively as a big highlight for you?
Well, not my hairline. But we're talking about geek stuff. Didn't realize how bald I looked until I was on the channel with you two. Like, you know, like the two, like, you know, sitting there like, oh, welcome to the Geek Week in Review. Sorry. And I'm just sitting there going, but,
I really enjoyed Hasbro Hascon week because obviously me and Sorrell both went on a different day, didn't I? You went on the Friday, the Star Wars. I went on the Marvel, the Saturday. And it was just good fun to talk about that kind of following, if you like. But yeah, like you say, Ryan, I mean, the guests have been fun. We've had some really good ones from obviously other creators right down to kind of execs and VPs at places and stuff. So
I know it was like the last episode, but for me, the highlight has definitely been having Steve Evans on here.
Steve was
awesome.
The fun that we had after on the stream was amazing, but afterwards when he sat there and we were just retweeting each other, like we just literally shared about the same clip about 1,000 times between us all.
Oh, I know. It was
some of the clips
clip
we made from it were amazing.
It was good. I've got a couple more that I'm still going to share as well. So obviously, you know, the whole calling me out on the 3 3/4 inch. I have got a clip of that put together, and as a little bit of an exclusive as well, I've already kind of stepped up because the 3 figures that he's sending me are obviously Stealth Iron Man, Hulk, and Silver Surfer. And I've got those all in 6-inch Legends form. So I've kind of thrown together a mock picture of them all sitting around looking at their watches, reading a book and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to post that, just kind of going, Steve, like they're waiting. Like, but no, Steve was a lot of fun. But interestingly, I think he's probably the guest that left the biggest impact because since last week, we've all been talking about the 3 3/4 inch Marvel Legends line. I know, obviously, Ryan, you're a big fan of it anyway.
I was about to say, because Joe, we weren't talking about it before. It's just me on my own.
No. But since then, I've kind of been like that. I've noticed them in shops and kind of like I've been looking, and I was actually surprised that there was less in the shops around me than there was like around you, Sorrell, for example. But yeah, I mean, it's you know, the line has definitely piqued my interest now. There's no two ways about it. So, but yeah, he was good fun. I can't think of anything else massive. I mean, it's just been good fun.
You know what? Actually,
chewing the fat.
I'll be honest, say talking with you guys has been the highlight. Like, I think just having that weekly, No, but like just having to have that weekly download has really probably helped prevent my wife from murdering me talking about geek stuff. So that's been a big help. But genuinely, it's just been fun to talk about because we don't always agree on things. That's the other thing. Like we actually have quite a laugh and a bit of a debate because we don't all agree on everything. So I think that's a really good highlight that we can have that sort of those discussions and those different thoughts and aspects and different experiences. So I've really just enjoyed. It's been great being on the show, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, Ryan. And back over to you, Sorrell. But no, it's been good. It's been good fun. I think I'll take this opportunity to say that obviously we are at the beginning of 2022, unbelievably, and we have this is the 30th episode, so we'll be passing that big 30. And we have got a few things planned. There's a few other guests that we're in talks with about kind of coming on and doing segments and stuff. And we do want to do some stuff that's a little bit more kind of community focused, sort of stuff that we're looking at within the community on a weekly basis, as well as the big stuff. So like the TV shows, movies and figures. So if anyone's got any ideas, if anyone thinks that anything should be highlighted on a weekly basis, then do give us a shout, because there's obviously the obvious ones like the customs that come out each week and the action figure photography that comes out each week, but they are showcased on various other different platforms, and we don't want to kind of necessarily step on other people's toes or try to kind of muscle our way into that market, if you like. So if anyone does have any ideas, anyone that is watching, if there is anything that you would like to see, then do drop us a message or put it in the comments below, just because it might tie in with some of the ideas that we've been having, and we can actually make something a bit more of a reality. So there is a lot coming, 2022 and episode 31 onwards. Hopefully we're going to see some changes and some new things. But let's focus on the title of the show. Geek Week in review. The Geek Week in review. So obviously the big thing this week was Book of Boba Fett episode 2. Thoughts, feelings?
Loved it. Better than episode 1. It stepped up a little bit, that one.
Yeah.
We've found out a little bit more about what's going on, really. I think we've got a bit more to go on. And obviously, I'm going to mention it. Highlight for me is seeing Cobra and Stan in live action.
Yes. Yeah. That was really cool. That was really cool. I hope that's not it. I hope that they kind of do. Well, there is more to that.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to you you guys this week, and from my comic book knowledge, I'm not massive on Star Wars comics, but I know a little bit. I've read the Dr. Aphra series, and it's like bang up to date. I love Dr. Aphra. And Boba Fett and Black Caristan already know one another. They're at this point in the canon, they're already familiar with each other. They know who each other are. So it's not a case of they're introducing him. It's a continuation of their story that's already in the comics. So
do the comic books take place before this then? The timeline now?
So Dr. Aphra's comics takes place between Empire and Jedi. So it's in that middle ground area. So
I believe Darth Vader is in it and stuff
Darth Vader's still in it and things like that. Yeah. And Black Caristan is working for the Hutts, just like Boba Fett was at the time. And they knew one another. They were allies. They weren't enemies. They were allies. Because they both worked for the Hutt family, you've got to remember, along with Bosk and a lot of the other bounty hunters. And Black Caristan actually had like full-on fights with Chewbacca and Han Solo. As well as Darth Vader himself at one point. And he also had a massive to do with they did like a flashback one where he actually fight with Obi-Wan Kenobi at the time of when the Kenobi series that we're going to be getting soon is based.
Ooh, interesting.
So I'm wondering, like I said to you guys this week, I'm wondering whether they're going to use Black Caristan as a character for this. They're going to introduce him here at Book of Boba and then give us his backstory when they do the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, because that would be the perfect timeline.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. That'd be very cool. I mean, for anyone that doesn't know the character or wasn't familiar, it was definitely kind of a what's going on kind of moment, because Wookiees are instantly recognizable as a Star Wars property. People talk about their dogs looking like Wookiees or do the Chewbacca noise and stuff. Like most people will know what Chewbacca is or what a Wookiee is. So obviously seeing this kind of completely, pimp my ride version of Chewbacca. Like it is, isn't it? Like he had brass
Wookiee.
knuckles. He had like highlights. He had like, he just looks badass, doesn't he? So yeah, so it was definitely a point. I think my favorite part of the episode though was how cool
Sorry, I've just got exhibit jumping. I've just got exhibit jumping on. Just be like,
yo, we are
yo.
here. We are gonna pimp my Wookiee.
Look at your basic
MTV.
foreign.
I heard you like Wookiees, so I put some Wookiee in your Wookiees.
I don't like this brown Wookiee, so I'm going to give him a black overcoat and run a white streak down the front. Look at those hands. Let's throw some brass knuckles. No,
he's going to look like an angry skunk.
He does. He does look like an angry skunk. No, but for me, the highlight of the episode was how cool the Tusken Raiders are becoming. Like, they're characters that I'm now heavily invested in. Like, I really like them. Like, I always saw it as that, when someone sort of cosplayed as a Tusken Raider, or you went somewhere and there was like, it was like, oh, okay, let's stand. Like, but now it's kind of like there's so much backstory to them, and I don't know, like I don't know if the comic books or the novels or anything like that go into details, because I've not read any of those, but Book of Boba Fett is definitely making them a
Do you know who doesn't like Tusken Raiders?
Who?
Anakin. He killed them, but not just the men, but the women and children too.
Why did he do that, Ryan? For anyone that hasn't seen.
Well, he doesn't like sand for a start. I mean, that puts them at a big disadvantage. I mean, that's literally half their name. But sand people. But also, like, there was a thing to do where, like, he had a mum, then they took her, and then he didn't have one anymore, and you could probably fill in the gaps. And like, he was well angry about that. So like, he was there, and like, they were like sitting there, and they were like, and he was like, and they were all dead. He cried. Then he got turned into a robot man. Star Wars coming soon.
Ryan, you should turn that into a movie. That's got potential, buddy. That has got potential.
I know. He's a graphic novel.
No, but all jokes aside, that has been their kind of, Tusken Raiders, Anakin's enemy. There
were cannon fodder for people to shoot at in the desert. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
and then got like a rich tribal history type thing now going on.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But the first bit of kind of story that we had, that kind of, because like you said, they were cannon fodder, but the first real bit of story that we had was the whole thing with Anakin's like mum and all the rest of it. But having seen that last episode, I wonder now whether that kind of, and I've not seen anyone talk about this, but does it potentially change what happened? Because we always saw it as, well, they went, they raided, they killed, like, but is there more to it? Because obviously in this episode, we saw that,
they're trying to claim back their ancestral home.
Yeah.
Basically.
So
humans
do talk
coming
about
on
different tribes, don't they? About some of them being more savage and some of them being the old ways and stuff like that. So I guess the argument can be made, the ones that took Anakin, Jimmy Skywalker are the savage type tribe, and obviously maybe that's why they put them in very different robes, to show that like these are the ones that are trying to take back their ancestral home, that honor the tribal ways and stuff like that. The ones that took Shmi in the sort of the normal colored robes are just, they were the savage ones that the guy was talking about in the episode. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm guessing that at some point we're going to discover that Tatooine was originally just a giant desert planet, and they were the people that lived there. And the people have come in, like the Imperials have come in, and people have started living there, farming there, and basically taking their land bit by bit. That old story, isn't it?
Yeah.
They talk about oceans at one point. Or did I imagine that? Did they say about like when the oceans dried up? I swear there was like a line.
When the oceans dried up.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be cool.
Yeah. That would be cool. But no, I think, and I love the bit at the end as well, before we kind of dissect the middle, but I love the bit at the end where you saw the kind of the outfit reveal. It's like, oh, that's why he was dressed like that, and that's why he's got that stick, and it was all very cool how they kind of showed him go from A to B. But yeah, I hope that there's more to it, because obviously we're seeing the episode is split very differently, isn't it? We've got kind of the flashback element, and we've got the kind of present element, and I wonder whether the two are gonna meet. The Tusken Raiders are going to come in and help.
Fennec Shan, hasn't he? He's got to get to that bit of the flashback still as well.
Are we pretending that we don't know where this is going?
Where do you think it's going, Sorrell? Come on, let's
my usual theory that's probably wrong. Boba Fett's going to get outed. No, Boba Fett's going to get outed. He's going to be overthrown in one of the near to the end episodes. He's going to go back to the Sand People and basically tell them what's happened, and they're going to help him take back what do you call it, the place. And they'll be in the final scene. I reckon will be Boba on the throne, Shand at his side, and then instead of having the Gamoran guards, it'll be the Tusken Raiders. He'll be now his guard.
That'd be cool.
And he's going to help them get back their home or something. He's going to give them land within his town.
Yeah.
Make them the guards or whatever.
The Rancor bit was funny. We discussed that.
Even Steve uploaded to his Instagram, didn't he, saying too soon? Too soon,
yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah, that was so funny. My mate Dave, without hesitation, messaged me and just been like, good to see a cameo from the HasLab Rancor. I think I shared it with you guys. It's just like, and then Jake made a video about it as well. It's just like, oh, it's just double savage. But come on, if you can't laugh at yourselves, I mean, Hasbro, come on, you gotta have a bit of fun with it.
They saw the irony in it.
The thing is my argument is that the HasLab project wasn't made not because of Hasbro, but because of the fans. You know, the product that they put out there wasn't that the fans didn't feel was good, like, you know, to a level that they wanted to back. But if we wanted the Rancor, that was what you had to do. That was how much it was, and that's how much you had to back. So ultimately, you know, the only people that can be at fault for it not making the backing is the people that back it, you know, or didn't back it. So I hesitated for a little while before making a video, but then I thought, you know what, I'm not actually poking fun at anyone. It's just, this is a situation. There was a perfect opportunity of an empty Rancor cage and there is an empty HasLab project. So
I was actually expecting there to be a tiny Rancor. I don't know why. I
was expecting something. Yeah.
I thought the joke was going to be that it was going to be a baby Rancor that was going to be like half its height of the person chucked in the pit or something.
Yeah.
But that did tickle me.
I thought there would be something. I did think there'd be something. There has to be something. That pit just can't be left empty. Like, there has to be something.
Biff's got his stuff in it, like stuff from his garden shed. They're just using it as storage. Big jab of storage. Yeah.
What I am curious though is because obviously we see like the tank that he goes and sort of sleeps in and stuff, but there's no real kind of explanation of where these things are in the palace. Like, we know the throne room and we're seeing this kind of the quarters kind of thing, but there's no real exploration of any of the other parts of the palace, which I find a bit odd at this stage. Like,
I think that will come in more when maybe like he's trying the battle for the palace or something will happen. I think that's when you'll see more of it. I think I'm still waiting to see if there'll be a little EV99 cameo, even if it's just the broken shell of EV99 in the corner or something. And just, because obviously Matt Berry has become the Matt Berry droid, has come in and obviously, taken over for father. He's the new sort of droid on the scene. So EV99 was obviously the head droid back in Jabba days. So I wondered if you'll see like some kind of broken down EV99, because we saw a similar model droid voiced by Mark Hamill in The Mandalorian as a little cameo at the beginning. So I don't know, it could be interesting, but that might lead a bit more of explanation if we see the droid torture chamber, because the road down to that we saw in Return of the Jedi, so that could be a little pathway we see more of.
There's a rumor kicking around. Do we want to talk rumors, potential spoilers?
Yeah, come on.
Han Solo is making an appearance.
Yeah. I could see that, definitely.
So, and they're kicking it around. And it's been reported like internationally as well. So even over here in these shores, the Sun newspaper covered it as a story. Now, anyone that's from the UK will know that the Sun isn't the most like reliable tabloid out here. It's not the paper that you would go to for your, they also cover kind of like, a badger stole my inheritance and things like that, like this. That's the kind of stories that they do cover.
But it was only a few weeks ago when a lot of places like Jedi News reported that Harrison Ford had said he would come back.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things that kind of put a bit of weight behind this rumor. So the first one is that there's a lot of talk about the Luke Skywalker moment. I know that we've mentioned it in previous weeks, but what's the Luke Skywalker moment of Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett? However, remember that the Luke Skywalker moment came at the end of Series 2, not end of Series 1. So the potential Luke Skywalker moment might not be anywhere close to us, but there is that. The other thing is obviously it's been leaked across various different news sites and tabloids and social media platforms and that Han Solo is going to appear. There's one argument that's saying that it's Harrison Ford using like de-aging technology. And then there's another source saying it's what's his name from the Solo film.
No.
I can never remember his name.
I defend him, Anton something, but I actually think he was really good.
I enjoyed Solo.
He doesn't
as a casual fan.
Solo, but I don't think he needs to be, because the problem is it's the wrong time, because it sounds stupid. That's when he's young. That's pre A New Hope.
Yeah.
You can't bring him in now because then this is set obviously after Return of the Jedi. So he would look like Harrison Ford. So I would rather
Harrison Ford.
They wouldn't need to do much to Harrison Ford either, because I mean they would just all they would need to do is make his hair brown, dye it, and make his skin look a little bit younger. They wouldn't have to do major things, because there has been a little bit of time between Return of the Jedi and this series, so there is a little bit of a time gap. So they can explain away why
just a little bit of Just for Men and somebody kind of grabbing the back of his head, and he'll be fine.
Couple of bulldog clips.
But that is one of the rumors. And
another credence to that actually, because he's currently filming Indiana Jones for Disney. So he's
with Disney again.
No. And this is the clencher for me, is that supposedly he took a couple of days out from filming Indiana Jones to film something else. That he took just literally a couple of days out from filming Indy 5, is it? To film something else for another filming commitment. Now, anyone that's been around any kind of theatre or movies or anything like that knows that a couple of days is normally, you can't really do much more than an advert or a cameo in a couple of days, on big budget stuff. So it's either going to be a commercial or a cameo. If it's going to be a cameo, pretty safe to say that it's in Book of Boba Fett. I think it'd be cool. There was another part to the rumor though, and they were talking about the kind of the big three, like Luke, Leia, and Han, how they were going to bring them back, like have the three of them in one scene together again. And you can kind of see why they would do it. Mark Hamill, probably off the back of how big the pop was in Mandalorian, would be down for it. Han Solo's or Harrison Ford's already involved, and then obviously a nice kind of tribute to Carrie Fisher there, just sort of in that. So I don't know, but I think it's safe to say that we're going to see
Kylo Ren.
Shall I tell you what? Right here, I got to address this at one point. I've got to address this. I have to address this. What's his full name?
Ben Solo.
Yeah. Okay. And who's his mum and dad?
Han Solo, Princess Leia.
Yeah. Princess Leia never met Ben Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, no, she knew of him though, because it was
Ben
Kenobi.
I know a lot of people, but I wouldn't name my kids after him. I know of a lot of people, but I know of like prime ministers and stuff, but I wouldn't go.
It was a very dear friend of her father.
Yeah, but you never saw. They didn't. They didn't share. And I'm not even a big Star Wars fan.
Actually, they're just like the name Ben. Just a coincidence. It might be short for like Benvolio.
No, but come on, look. Some of the names that are knocking around the Star Wars universe, Ben is quite
without Ben Kenobi though, she would have never have escaped in episode 4. She would have never have got out, really. She might have done, but you know what I mean? It was down to Luke and the rest of them and distracting Vader, and there was a lot of things going on to make that happen. And obviously through Luke, she learned the Force through Luke. So he learned it from Ben. So it's just a continuation of the history and the legacy. And
I totally get why he's called Ben, not Ben Solo, but
Yoda.
But it's kind of but you just think all the characters that have helped her along her journey, she names her son after one that she never met. I would just think like, I know
that Disney are doing. I know Disney doing a lot to kind of push the sequels away. But do you know what? A Disney Plus series about young Kylo Ren with a de-aged Luke Skywalker, learning more about why they turned on one another, expanding that story some more.
Do you know what?
Baby Grogu and stuff in it and tying it all together.
Just even giving the Knights of Ren a justified kind of story arc.
Yep.
That was one of the biggest wasted opportunities, I think, because when I first saw the trailers and you saw Kylo Ren with this kind of badass looking team around him, I was like, yeah, this is going to be good.
Because like, at what point did the Emperor start, sneaking in with the dark side, and when did he sort of, you know what I mean? I'd love them to explore that. And like, when did he start hearing the side?
Make him sound like some kind of paedophile swimming teacher.
It's not his first boy. Let's be honest.
When did the Emperor start sneaking in? It is so, isn't it? Like he is like a
unlimited restraining orders.
You know what I mean?
Do it.
The thing is, the problem is like with the when we talk about series and stuff. When we
God,
keep it PG.
I was gonna change Strike Me Down. Like
no.
I won't.
The problem is with like this is what the big thing is for me though, is like we didn't need the problem with this like the sequel. I can't get these things out of my head now, damn it, Jake.
I have to turn my camera off because I'm just sitting and listening to you going, don't do it, Jake.
Don't do it, Jake.
Don't do it. No, I can't. Just don't do it.
Just, nine.
No.
Exit. Jake has been kicked out of the room. So the thing about the sequel series is like I actually do enjoy the sequel series. My biggest gripe with the whole thing is that I feel like the series we get at the moment are really good, and they're kind of things that are just adding to the universe. I feel like you need series for the sequel series because you need to understand what actually happened. Like it almost needs series for it to make sense, because there are just so many big gaps, like you said about the Knights of Ren stuff and things like that. I mean, I've always thought. I mean, I know you said that's not, the most criminally underrated thing was the Knights of Ren. I've always thought the most criminally underrated thing was the use of Finn's character. I mean, a stormtrooper got rogue was just such a good storyline. They just didn't do anything with it. But I actually feel like the sequel trilogy has some really cool parts in it and really cool characters. Like you said, like Kylo Ren's awesome. I actually find Rey a really interesting character. A lot of people don't, but Poe's background, smuggling background. But I feel like you need all these series more to make the sequels make more sense, rather than the Mandalorian isn't needed. It's just a cool thing that adds to it, and all these things. But sequel series need some series to bind it together.
Yeah, it seems like this from what we've seen with Mandalorian season 2. The fact they're doing Ahsoka, the fact they're going back and giving us a Ben storyline with the young Darth Vader, they're slowly filling in the gaps for us. And I think it's only a matter of time before we see the things we want answered. Oh, I want answered. Things like, did Ahsoka Tano ever meet Luke? Are them two characters ever going to meet? Are we ever going to have the discussion of that she was trained by his father, and then she maybe helps train him a little bit or something, and then he goes off and makes his own academy? And I could see them then slowly building up to something like the introduction of the new Jedi Academy under Luke's order, and then Ben Kenobi's Ben Solo's rise to becoming Kylo. I mean, I think we could call it the rise of the rise of the New Order, and it would make a brilliant series, just covering that timeline of how they came to power.
Rise of
I think
Ren.
if you look at how Marvel do it, and I'm not saying obviously copy Marvel, but
it takes 10 years.
How but the Star Wars films, the Star Wars story has been out a lot longer than the MCU, like a lot longer than the MCU. But how they utilize Disney Plus to fill in those gaps and give us the stories that we wanted to see between things in the sense of a series. Look at Hawkeye, for example, giving Hawkeye a series. But I think the best example that I can think of off the top of my head is Doctor Strange. So the Doctor Strange film was not well received at all at the time. It was not a fan favorite. People pulled various different things apart, etc. But yet I would argue that Doctor Strange is probably one of their most profitable kind of properties at the moment, because of all the tidbits and the cameos and the tie-ins. And I think that if they did that with some of the Star Wars characters and kind of brought them in and tied them in a bit more with stuff, they could probably, because like Doctor Strange 2 is highly anticipated now. But if that had come out 2 years after Doctor Strange 1 as just a continuation, I don't think it would be. But it's only because of where his Yeah, it's only because of where his story's got to.
Without sounding horrible, I really think that like Doctor Strange really needed, as awful as it sounds, he needed Iron Man to die for him to become the next big character in the franchise.
Oh yeah.
If Tony Stark was still around, I don't think we would be as talking the same about Doctor Strange as we are now, because he's now the elder base. He's now the guy that's looking after all these young Avengers. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's now the leader almost, isn't he? Really, at this point.
Yeah.
I'm still upset that we had both of those in the movie, and there was no shit Sherlock.
No,
yeah,
no, that would have been brilliant. That would have been brilliant.
Wasted.
But I think like you take a character like Kylo Ren that people are kind of very on the fence about, and you tie him into various different properties and kind of give him a story that runs throughout various different things. I think that I think people would be
Kylo fence. Sorry.
I definitely think. I know a lot of Star Wars fans would hate me for saying this. I think the movie days for Star Wars is over. I think it's now become very much. I don't think they'll ever make another episode. I think it should end at the episodic thing. Should have ended at 9. Done.
Yeah.
Now we've got these things like your TV series are able to expand things better than a movie would, because in a movie you've got 2 hours, maybe 90 minutes, 2 hours. In a TV series you've got 6, 7, 8, 9 hours to explore something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's a better option, especially with the likes of Disney Plus. It's getting the same sort of budget that a live action movie would, if not slightly more sometimes.
But you also look at the change in kind of behavior as well, because of obviously what happened in the last couple of years. People relied a lot more on streaming services as opposed to obviously cinemas for various different reasons. And yes, the cinema is always there, and things like No Way Home, for example, I'd want to watch in the cinema, and episodes 1 to 9 I'd want to watch in the cinema, if I was around when they went into the cinema. But like you say, I think there's no harm in, and they're doing it now with Boba Fett. Boba Fett was a background character at the end of the day, but look at him now. Like he became a bit culty and a bit of a fan favorite, but by doing the Mandalorian and including him in that, and obviously giving us the backstory of him in the original trilogy and stuff, like it's a character that you're highly invested in because you literally know his story from beginning to now. And they're doing a wonderful job of kind of filling that in, giving us that background. Obviously there was no, I don't know if we talked about this last week, but there was no explanation of why he'd kind of gained weight. That was the only thing that I think did fall down a little bit.
One of the things of
just
the fact
have
that there's
to
40 years between the films.
Yeah. It would have been good if they had shown him eating some of the Sarlacc like as a source of nutrient, and it kind of ballooned him up or something, and then he came out. I don't know.
To be fair, they didn't really explain how Princess Leia Organa suddenly sounded like she'd been on a hard life of drugs and alcohol before appearing in Force Awakens, going like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Han, you're not really in it. Almost sounding a little bit Little Nicky in some of it. Do you know what I mean?
Do not speak ill of the princess.
No, I can't, because she was the best self-critic ever. She was hilarious. I love those pieces. She was brutally honest about it, constantly. But we didn't have to have an explanation for that. And I think that we can just accept that for this Book of Boba Fett thing. Some things just don't need to be explained.
You did a voice that sounded like. Did you ever see the bad lip reading thing? You did that. You always did that voice. Was like, I like monkeys.
I like monkeys.
That's all I heard when you said it.
Don't walk away from me.
So is there anything about was there anything else about the Book of Boba Fett before we kind of sidetrack too much?
Okay.
So let's get into that.
Best thing ever. So I think it was Screen Rant put this article on Facebook. I think they thought they were going to get a different reaction, like going, why we need to stop CGIing huts. Someone put the top comment with like 6,000 likes was, no, we don't. Shut up. It's fine. It's fine. No, we don't. Shut up. 6,000 likes. That was it. And it was such a pitiful article going on about like, the way the CGI huts. I was like, that is really scraping the barrel for going, we need something to moan about. I mean, people are like, puppet. But don't get me wrong, the first go at CGI hut in the special edition in 97, as a 7-year-old, I loved it. I thought it looked cool. As an adult, I can see it didn't age well, but then obviously they've gone back and redone it now. But but like
it allows these characters, it allows them to do things that we would never seeing them do before. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the process of where we came from, like those, the Jim Henson kind of creature characters and stuff of days gone by. Like, would I want to watch the Labyrinth with CGI? No. Like, that is what it is. It's all about puppeteering and stuff like that. But to take characters like the Hutts, what they like, for the amount of time that they're in episode 2, I wouldn't want to see that as a puppet, because it's all about the minute details that you can do with CGI that puppet wise would be a lot harder to do. So no, I don't agree with that at all. Like,
I loved seeing all the people struggle under the thing. That was so funny. The kids kept, holding up the thing and like,
that was I the first thing I thought was, how much does that weigh? Because there was 2 of them on it. Like, it was like, that's either Hutts are a lot lighter than you imagine. Like, they're light slugs, they look really heavy, and you pick them up and it's like, oh, toss that. But or that, those guys underneath were incredibly strong. And what was like BK doing? Like, he must have been like walking along the back. It's like, here comes my moment. Like, because then all of a sudden he like was massive. Like, but yeah.
Maybe he saw something at a stall and was just quickly looking and go, oh shit, they're already over there.
Yeah.
I'll back it
He was with a hood on, just kind of like hood on, like at a stall. I'm here.
Partnering with Watto.
Yeah. What else did you pick up on it? What else did you like?
The Pike Syndicate were mentioned again for the first time since the Solo movie.
Ah, yeah.
They're the spice, fuel, and traffic people, basically. But it's the first time they've been mentioned since that film. So they're just tying the universe together a little bit. Obviously, the Hutt twins have been mentioned before in Clone Wars. We do know of them. They are a part of the Grand Hutt Council. So we do know of them from Clone Wars, and they're Jabba's cousins, I believe. These 2.
Maybe Zero getting mentioned.
Oh, maybe. Is he the one from the original Clone Wars movie, the little baby one?
No, that's Jabba's son. But no, Zero was the one that talked like this.
Oh, no, the one that's like Cartman.
The funny one.
And ends up going off with sauce noodles on a little romantic vacation.
That was a real sideways move for the Hutts, I thought, but I quite liked him. He was entertaining enough. And what about the bit with the mayor?
Was back for that. It was like such an odd thing.
Yeah, that was random. But what about the thing with the mayor? Because obviously,
that was Robert Rodriguez's voice as well, by the way.
Was it?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the speaking voice, the one that came out, the translator was Robert Rodriguez.
Nice little bit of info there. But obviously, we were under the impression that the mayor had put the hit out, but and then he said, obviously, it's not you. It wasn't me that did it. You think it still was him, or?
Yeah, he killed the guy. It's like, get rid of the evidence.
Yeah. I wondered whether there was more to that. Yeah. The one of the articles that I did read that I was quite that I thought was quite cool was what's the race called? The ones with the long ears, the long kind of tendril things.
The
Twi'leks. Yeah.
What are they called? Twi'leks. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Same as Ahsoka.
And they would.
No, Ahsoka's not a Twi'lek.
No, she's not. She's not.
She's the same member as the species of Shakti. I can't remember what her species is called off the top of my head.
One of them, isn't she?
You're thinking Ayla Secura.
That's what I'm thinking. Jedi. She's a Twi'lek.
Yes.
Yeah. The blue lady.
Yeah. But there was a thing on it about the difference between the male and female, the differences on them. So like the females have like pointy cone ears and bumpy foreheads, and the male ones have like actual ears and flat foreheads. Did you see this article?
No.
But that's a difference. You can Google it now.
Yeah,
that's a difference. And
the species guide to Star Wars
as
well.
And they've been very consistent across like cartoons, across movies and whatnot. But there's one of them in this series, in the Book of Boba Fett, in the bar, and it's a male one, like, so it's bare chest and everything, but he's got pointy ears and a bumpy forehead. So people are saying that it's like a transgender, like the first kind of reference of a transgender. I just thought, how cool is that? Like, it's not even making a big deal out of it, but it's just kind of like, for all you guys that know the differences, we're just going to throw this in and see what. And there's people kind of going, oh yeah, the effects department have obviously just messed up. And it's like, no, they've been so consistent across it that it's quite. But you got to have a look. I saw an article about it, and I had to go back and rewatch it, and I was like, you know what? If that is something that they've just dropped in, that's a really cool little, like a really little subtle kind of, that there's
They have got better with it. 'Cause
transgender
obviously
one
we
in
had
there.
the first sort of gay kiss in Rise of Skywalker, on the screen.
Mhm.
So there are those. I think Disney are sort of coming to the modern age of that kind of thing, and it's just there is absolutely zero reason why it shouldn't be in the Star Wars universe. One of the most diverse and beautifully expanding, catalog of creatures, aliens, worlds, and stuff like that. Why wouldn't it be?
What cracked me up though is that, because I think that things like that, things that kind of with all kind of fantasy and sci-fi stuff, like I love that, there's so much of a mirror in what takes place in real life. So having these things in it, you have to have them to make it believable, if that makes sense. But what really made me laugh is that there was a group of people, the types that kind of like were massively against it. Oh no, that's not true. It wouldn't happen. And I'm just thinking, you're literally watching something where you're arguing about a yellow skin thing with long tendril, and you're questioning whether that's transgender or not. Like, come on, it's not a real species, and they've just done a. And I just thought it was great. And I just thought, how can you find an argument in that? If they've done it, brilliant. But it'd be cool to see that was what they did. But I just thought it was a nice little bit of
I would go back to those
trivia.
Like, so explain to me how a lightsaber, like how the laser stops in the middle of the air. Just you could just run that one by me again while we're talking about the plausibility of things. Just enjoy the bloody thing.
Just enjoy it for what it is. So, anything else on Book of Boba?
That was kind of it for this week. That was all the things I picked up on anyway. The main thing for me was the Wookiee.
Yeah. What I am enjoying about it is that I couldn't guess where episode 2 was going to go from episode 1, and I can't guess what's coming in episode 3.
Sorry,
you can.
No. I saw a thing. I saw a thing that it's only again, it's a fan thing, but someone said, "How cool would it be if they got Gemma Chan on board to play Dr. Aphra in a TV series?" And I just someone made a mock-up picture of her in there, like the hat and stuff with the goggles on. And you know what? Oh, if they could get Gemma Chan on board to play her,
I think it's possible to see her live action at some point. Maybe, even if it's not in this series, maybe in the next series or something like that. But we'll definitely see a live action Dr. Aphra. It's become too popular of a character. It's like it's a bit like I would compare Dr. Aphra to almost like Harley Quinn. So just something that was created as a character that's now breathed the life of its own. Like Harley Quinn was only meant to be like a speaking part henchman for Batman in the animated series, and now Harley Quinn's like one of the characters. And like Dr. Aphra, even people who don't know comics that well still know who Dr. Aphra is, and people who it's bizarre. Like, she's not been in anything live action, she's not been in anything animated, but people who don't even read comics know who Dr. Aphra is. One
of the most expensive Black Series figures to buy now as well. He runs at $99 currently.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. So with the mention of Black Series, let's dive over to toys, because obviously Star Wars, there was only one, and it's quite topical in regards to what we were talking about. And that was the re-release of the prototype Boba Fett, which is quite sleek looking. Not gonna lie, I love a washed out color.
Why was it not in the archive line though? Why have they put it in the Empire Strikes Back? Why was it not it's technically an archive figure.
Yeah,
they've not changed anything. It's the same. It's a re-release, but it's in a regular packaging. Are they doing away with archive? Maybe have they had enough?
Yeah, I don't know. That was
maybe
they're
mixing up packaging, because there was that rumor about the picture I saw, which looks really convincing. I'm not sure if it's real or not, of Cal Kestis's master from the Fallen Order game, which looks really legit for a Black Series. I mean, I don't think it looked really legit, but I think when we talked about it earlier, like Ash pointed out, they did have the Gaming Greats logo on the box, which could maybe leave why it was real. But then if the Proto Fett is actually an Empire Strikes Back, maybe they're doing away with some of the packaging changes.
Just keep them all universal, all the nice sideways boxes. It would be good for them to do that, because the archive line are very awkward to place in your collection. There's no way of putting those in the order, you know what I mean? So it would be good of them to do that, but we'll see. I mean, they need to give us that. The I forgot the name of the character, but the Jedi Master that you're talking about. They need to give it, because obviously they've used the if it is real, then obviously it's basically Zeb's body. It would be a good use of using the mold. Well, they've got it. Why not? He's the only other character of that species we're aware of that requires a figure point. So I mean, Yeah, but I know they had a couple of other Lasats in, they had that weird Mama and Papa kind of character in Rogue in Rebels, didn't they?
Yeah.
Them weird caricatures that, you're never gonna get figures of them. But the fact that he's like the only other version of that species, kind of that's worthy of a figure, you want to say? So it'd be good use of the mold.
A classic Yoda Yaddle situation. That's what that is. That was a relevant topic. That was a relevant.
That was probably the most.
Now, though, isn't Yaddle gone from canon now? Didn't
no, because Yaddle's in episode 1.
Still,
remember the Jedi?
Has it not been digitally removed yet?
All right. Pay some bloody respect. Older than you could possibly imagine. No, Yaddle is still very much in the canon, and also let's not forget, it's also in the upcoming Lego Star Wars game. So, all right, I don't want to hear this the ever coming but ever delayed Lego Star Wars game.
If there are any 3D printers or customizers that have the ability to create a Yaddle figure for Ryan, please do let us know, and let's get this man a Yaddle in 2022, just so we can stop talking about.
I'll take any of it. I don't have any Yaddle.
I'm just gonna get some blue tack and hang on that, and I'll make one now, and then I'll send it over to you.
It won't be made with love, so it won't count.
Yaddle.
When it comes to the 30th anniversary of episode 1, I'm guessing Disney Plus are going to do a digital, re-release, and we'll slowly see like a dewback walk in front of Yaddle and then a stormtrooper crossover, and they just won't see Yaddle anymore. They'll just digitally remove him.
No, because they'll make Yaddle and Yoda the birth parents of Grogu. That's where Grogu.
Oh no! Nobody needs that image.
Wow!
Wow! No.
Wow. Where does Grogu come from though? Maybe we're going to see Yaddle a lot soon. Maybe Yaddle comes in as his like grandmother or something.
I don't need that image in my head. Procreate.
Or maybe they're like gremlins, and if they get wet, they just like pop out of the backs or something. Like it's just Grogu, you are. Yeah, I don't know.
What you've done with your hair, I like.
We'll get a Yaddle. We will get a Yaddle. But there was no other Black Series, was there? That was literally it. It's been a quiet week in relation to figures. There wasn't actually. I'm trying to hold it together here.
Episode 30. I told you this is the midlife crisis where we'll crack.
You wouldn't let me make the Emperor kind of lewd jokes. But there wasn't any other Black Series, was there? That was literally it. We got that. There wasn't even any leaks or any kind of talks about anything. There's been nothing. Which
but did you notice this week? Obviously, randomly, we were expecting that Sandy version of Mandalorian to drop like in the future, but it's dropping like this week coming up.
Yeah,
In Demand have got them in stock on the 12th apparently. So I mean, a lot of companies have been sending out the invoices for them, so they've arrived a lot sooner than we were expecting. I think. And
I reckon that's
3/4 inch import. Yeah, the 3/4 inch version with the little spiders are now out as well. It's coming on the 12th.
Yeah, I think it's the same for Marvel Legends. Like, there's been very little noise on kind of on the scene, so I think that we're obviously going to be due a couple of fan first days. Maybe some creator reveals, like when they gave you Mastermind. Maybe that's going to pop up again.
Isn't February time when they do one of these like big events? Isn't February sort of like a fan first kind of thing?
Nah,
like what they call these events?
I think fan first is like April, March, April time. I don't think it's February.
I don't know why I've got.
I don't think it's February.
In my head.
Because it's my birthday in February.
Maybe that's it.
That's why it's so special.
Speaking of Marvel Legends, there was two separate kind of, should we say, leaks or kind of, one of them was more of a nod towards a leak. And another one came kind of direct from the source. I don't know if you saw Ryan Ting's Instagram post where he had the 20th anniversary figures, and he had the Captain America, the Iron Man, and the Hulk, but then boxed in the middle he had the Frogman figure, which obviously indicates Toad when you think about it. Let's be honest. So, it's I mean, we all knew we were going to get Toad, but I think that's pretty that's pretty obvious that the next one that we're going to get revealed will be Toad, which I think is going to be a hugely popular one based on the fact that we've not had that figure since Series 1. And he's
What
massively
happens to
aged.
a Toad when it's struck by lightning? Don't know, Storm. What does Storm?
There was that. And then, obviously, friend of the show, one of our previous guests, Rectangular, obviously posted a video about the new Marvel Legends Avengers line. And this is quite an interesting one for various different reasons. So let's just quickly go over what was revealed there. I did post it on my Instagram. So Blue, I'm not going to go into detail on who these characters are or the backstory and stuff, but the three new characters that we've not had before is Blue Marvel, Quake, that you might be familiar with because of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Speedball as well. A lot of excitement about Speedball. So they're the kind of three new ones. The other four that we've had before is US Agent. We're getting a retool of US Agent, which I really hope is on the new 80th anniversary kind of mold of Captain America. If we got a US Agent in that mold, I'd be very happy. But I am really pleased that they're redoing him. They're obviously going to redo him because of Falcon and Winter Soldier, but he's one that I got rid of a long time ago because he came out in, I want to say 2012, I think.
Long time ago now.
It was a long time ago, and I got rid of him quite a while back, and then I kind of regretted him. I regretted it. It was one of the figures that I kind of regretted getting rid of. And then as soon as he was hinted on with Falcon and Winter Soldier, the price just went up and it was just stupid. So I'm really glad they're going to do him. Madam Hydra is another one that's been rumored. Again, same kind of era as US Agent. So she's definitely due an upgrade. And I think with all of the army builders and the kind of the MODOK and the AIM scientists and the new Red Skull and obviously the Hydra builder, Hydra army builders, Madam Hydra is definitely a good one. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that. And then the other two were just Iron Man and Thor. So they didn't expand on what it was, and there was no reveal as to what the builder figure was going to be. So what I think is interesting though is there's no live action figures injected into that. It looks like a completely comic book wave, which unless of course the Iron Man and the Thor are in fact MCU or Disney Plus versions, but
do we really need another Iron Man?
I don't think we need another Iron Man. The only thing I thought is if they were gonna mix it up, which they usually do, let's be honest, is every now and again we do get like a committed wave to one or the other, either comic book or MCU. But the only ones that I think that they could inject into this without creating too much of a stir would be Zombie Iron Man from the What If Zombies episode,
good shout.
and Party Thor from the the younger version of him from the What If series. And they're two characters that we didn't get in the What If wave that a lot of people did ask for. So they wanted that Thor character as a figure. And obviously the zombie Captain America was a hugely popular one. So having Zombie Iron Man and Party Thor from the Disney Plus shows could be a good way of mixing up live action, even though it's not live action, but live action and comic book. Yeah. Which then leaves the question as what the builder figure would be. And based on, the builder figure has never got. Well, possibly.
From
the
the
builder
What If
figure's
series?
never. Yeah, the builder figure is never normally something to do with the wave as such. There are exceptions, obviously. There are exceptions like the Sentinel that we got recently in the House Powers of X wave. But then take things like the Shang-Chi wave had the Mr. Hyde builder figure. The Spider-Man No Way Home had the armadillo.
One have a relevant one.
The Eternals did. Yeah. That's obviously the there are exceptions. So things like Guardians of the Galaxy had Mantis as the builder figure. The Eternals had Gilgamesh as a builder figure. So there are exceptions, but what could the builder figure be? It's anyone's guess. There's nothing ties all of these characters together enough to kind of go, the builder figure is going to be this. So Frost Giant Loki would be a good shout. It'd be a good way of kind of tying off all the main characters from that series.
If I guess
or at
that,
least
considering how
most of them.
little I know about Marvel Legends, I will be so impressed.
That would be really impressive. That would be really impressive. But there's no real indication of kind of real dates or anything like that. But it's an interesting wave, definitely an interesting wave, which I'm looking forward to. I think I'm going to get every single one of those. Did we need another Iron Man? Do I want another Iron Man?
Really?
I love my Iron Man figures. There's the only time I got annoyed with the Iron Man releases.
You're like asking Jake if he wants another Spider-Man.
Yeah, the only time I got annoyed with the Iron Man releases was when they did the Mark. Which one was it? But the one from Infinity War. I can't remember which Mark it was, and they re-released that figure about 3 or 4 times, and that kind of annoyed me because you had one that had the backpack piece, you had one that had the light up chest, and then you had this standard release, and I was like, you know what, they're not different enough to warrant all 3. Like,
yeah.
But that was the only time I got annoyed with Iron Man. But you know, apart from that, me and him are good. But I am. Yeah, whatever Iron Man it's going to be, it's going to fall into one or 2 camps. It's either going to be a suit that we haven't had, which great, happy days. If you collect Iron Man, you build a hall of armors, or it's going to be an Iron Man from a property that we haven't had, like Marvel Zombies. And that's about all I got to say on the subject.
I got to say about that.
And that's all I got to say about that. But yeah, but no, it's interesting. It's good to see. It was good to see a leak without it being a leak, if that makes sense. We haven't had any real kind of leaks for quite some time, so it was nice to kind of see the community speculating about, you know.
Do you know what? Transformers had a very similar kind of thing. It was like a leak, but not a leak sort of thing. Very similar situation. Yeah, more than meets the eye.
Transformers.
It's I'm quite partial to Transformers, as people know.
Before you say, I've got to say, I was wearing this hoodie the other day, and my mother-in-law saw me. She went, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Transformers." She went, "You're not into that as well, are you?" I was like, well, Robot's in this, guys. But yeah, go for it. Yeah. Sorry, Ryan, I cut you short.
That's right. No, I mean, that's a good thing to be cut short on. To be fair, the Transformers studio series I've spoken about extensively. The mini thing releases like a core class Spike. I think I remember Spike or Daniel. I think it's Spike from the Transformers movie. So when he's in his exosuit. So core class is like the sort of the more basic size. So sort of your kind of 3 to 4 inch size figure, like your sort of lower end of the price range, and it actually transforms like it does in the movie into like the sort of the vehicle. But interestingly, so the studio series Grimlock, that this size, came with a sort of non-articulated wheelie. Like it's ball jointed, but the arms are in a very fixed position. So are the legs. They originally called Slag because Americans didn't know what the UK equivalent of Slag was. He's renamed Slug recently. The Dinobot comes with like a Daniel in an exosuit that's like one of these, like these sort of pre-formed, non-moving figures. But I think they've been pleasantly surprised about how popular the line's been. So there are leaked images, including in-package shots of the new sort of core class one. It just shows you they really are trying to go for like everything in the 86 movie, which is awesome. One thing I'm slightly annoyed at though, they have also released images of a cliff jumper from the movie. So they did because beginning of Transformers the movie, you see Jazz, cliff jumper, and Bumblebee and Spike on the respective moon bases. So they're sort of the main old school series ones, and they spoiler alert, they survive. So if you've ruined it from 1986. But the thing about the cliff jumper is it's not a studio series figure. It's actually another series of figures. Show us the poster. It's Judd Nelson holding up his Breakfast Club Matrix. My job is just to bring musical interludes to this thing, I think. But the cliff jumper is just like a repackage of one from an earlier series, which kind of goes against the point of the studio series, is that they're fresh molds or retooled molds to be as accurate to the cartoon as possible. And this figure is just not accurate to. It's the first proper misstep I've seen in the Studio 86 series. It's just a sort of package under like of an earlier cliff jumper mold that's not even remotely like the thing in the show. But yeah, there you go. That's Transformer news. There's nothing else much. A lot more rumor stuff about the new sort of Beast Wars live action film, but nothing concrete. But yeah, that's Transformers.
You know what's always struck me weird about Transformers is that the toy lines in the UK shops anyway have always been really predominant. Like there's always been a Transformers section in like places like Smith's, and then obviously the lower budget places like B&M and stuff. Like they always seem to have Transformers there, and you have other properties like Marvel Legends that have only just come back into places like Smith's, and you would think that it would be the other way around. Characters like Spider-Man and stuff would be more popular to the general market, but Transformers have always held their position in stores, which I think is testament to collectors and the line, because obviously people have been after
absolutely them. And plus also like they've really diversified the line over the years. So there's a big preschool presence for Transformers. There's a sort of younger age. There's about 4 or 5 different almost versions of Transformers for different age groups now. So like there's like I said, like there's proper like my first Transformers. I just press a button, the whole thing transforms, and you got ones that like 3 or 4 steps, but they've got like a cartoon that goes with it, like Rescue Bots, like very Fisher Price style. So it's sort of, it is, as a brand, it has sort of naturally evolved to make sure it keeps as bigger audience as possible. But realistically, it's still guys in their 30s buying them.
Thing is that, like you say, Marvel is a very recognizable company, but Marvel Legends aren't, I don't think. Whereas Transformers is literally, as it is, it's a toy line. It's always been there. It's never gone away. So they're just instantly recognizable. Sometimes if you put the Marvel Legends on the shelf, there are always characters in those sets that everyday people are not going to know who they are unless they've read a comic. So they're not going to be interested in them. Whereas Transformers, every one of them is they're all from toy lines. So most of the figures are going to get picked up.
The other thing as well is that if you, but that's the thing is, if you're like an aunt or uncle or something, and you're going into a store to buy, for your niece or nephew, whoever it is that's into it, a Transformer, it's a robot that transforms into a vehicle. You don't need to know what the character is. Whereas you go to Marvel Legends, but that's what I mean, is they'll recognize it. Here's Transformers. It is a robot that turns into something. So that's that. But you wouldn't go in and pick up like the Hood figure, for example, and go, "Oh, look, it's Marvel."
It's into a Terminator. It can turn into a Star Trek. Just a Star Trek.
It's like for me, it's like Hot Wheels and Matchbox. They've always been there. They've never gone away. The series has never died out. It's just one of those instantly recognizable toys on the shelf that have always been there.
Plus, Jake, you are completely right. They are just the safe bet of a lot of people who want to get kids' presents. You are spot on with that.
I've been bought loads of Transformers over the years, and my kids have been bought Transformers by other people. I'm like slapped it out of the relative's hand. Do you not know who their father is? But interesting you mentioned Star Trek. So I've got to address something here. This is the Geek Week in Review, but we never ever talk about Star Trek. Like, I am not a Star Trek fan. Like, I don't know the first thing about Star Trek. Like, but it came up this week, and I got tagged in something on Facebook, and it was something Star Trek related. And I was like, what? I don't get this. Like, there are certain references I get, but I'm just not a big Star Trek person. Like, I like the new films. I'm not going to lie. I quite like the new films, and I get a lot of the references with the older stuff, but I'm not a big Trekkie, as you put it. But, maybe we need like a full host that's like a dedicated Star Trek person.
If there's, the thing is, the problem with Star Trek is, so we are, even though with the Geek Week in Review, we do Marvel movies and then we talk about toys mostly. Toy-wise, Star Trek doesn't have the biggest presence other than the Playmobil super expensive but amazing Enterprise they've done. But as a toy something, there's not been as much of a big splash. There are figures and stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's not things that any of us collect. Even though I am a massive Trekkie, I watch everything Star Trek. Discovery, I'm up to date with. And I've got to say, Lower Decks, it's on Amazon. It's like an animated series. It's really funny. For people who don't know Star Trek very well, don't like Star Trek very much, it just sort of fits into like a big, wide bubble. But I would love to talk more Star Trek.
Star Trek is making a comeback in a big way this year. Have you not seen the toy license?
Well, that's why I brought it up, because it is going to be made. And obviously, we just had, like, I say just had, but obviously we had Picard, didn't we? We had that. It was Amazon Prime, wasn't it?
Amazon Prime.
And there's part of me that was kind of like, oh, actually, I'm going to sit down and watch that, because I would understand it, but I've just never been a big Star Trek person. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. But you can't be the Trekkie and the Transformers guy, Ryan. You need to pick one of the two. You have to get some new fan
You're talking
art
to me about
done.
this, but I've got literally a Star Wars background. I can't be the Transformers guy, but you're okay with this. Like, this is fine.
Yeah,
I'm going to sit here in an Ant-Man helmet, a Star Trek comm badge with a Star Wars background, while my shoes transform into a Ninja Turtle, just to make a point.
Retro man.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you all saw the news though that Playmates have bought the rights for all the toys now for Star Trek.
Yeah.
And they are making I think it's either a 3-inch or a 6-inch figure line, basically, based on the legacy of Star Trek. So it's going to be all franchises.
I think if I was in their shoes, if I was at that board, I would do it as a 3 3/4-inch line so that it can run alongside Star Wars characters, because there will be collectors out there that will get an absolute kick out of having I know, and there's one of them, but having certain characters from the Star Wars franchise side by side with certain characters from the Star Trek franchise. So I would definitely aim for that. Don't do a McFarlane and just create your own like scale that doesn't scale with anything else, because like I would buy the McFarlane toys if they scaled better with the 6-inch line. But
did you know that there was actually a 3 3/4-inch Star Trek line for Mego for the motion picture that was originally done, and they also did a series of events. They're very valuable. They're not the best quality, but they do fit very well in a Star Wars cantina scene, I can guarantee.
I can tell you because I've done it.
Yeah.
But I think that toys nowadays and action figures nowadays, there's what they can do with stuff is, you've only got to look at the new 3 3/4-inch Star Wars figures, how detailed they are in comparison to, how much detail they can put into them and how much tooling they can put into them in comparison to what they could do 10, 20.
Yeah, because the Playmate Star Trek line was massive, and they did do every single character in their sort of 4-inch line that they did, that particular style, which started with the Next Generation figures and then they expanded it. They were great figures. Like, they were great fun, and they did like every variation possible. A bit like with Marvel Legends now, but like it's a toy line that, unless you're into Star Trek, no one talks about. But it's a really, really interesting history to it. Because it's one that's been missed so many times at different movies, like with Wrath of Khan and stuff like that. It's such a weird thing. I think it's even the Toys That Made Us did an episode of so Playmates getting the license sort of fully back. It's going to be interesting what they do with it. Like, will they do a relaunch and a reimagining of the line that they made so famous and great, or will they go
that's what the plan will be? I reckon.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether they were going to go, because they've obviously seen maybe what Hasbro have done with the Kenner style line, and I'm wondering whether they're going to go down the same route and do the vintage style packaging and just go about it the vintage way. And
Star Trek Discovery done as Next Generation figures,
done in that 90s style card back, just like we had back in the day. I think they'll do it. I really do.
That'd be cool.
But we're living in that age now as well, where the majority of collectors, or the flip side of collectors, are parents buying for children, but the majority of people with the money are people that bought all these toys or had all these toys bought for them when they were younger. So that's why we're seeing such a retro surge, and how it's such a popular thing now.
When my next Toy Hunt video goes up this week, you will see my Smiths. It's like kids don't exist anymore. It's literally it's catered, the entire like boys line, if you want to call it that, the entire like section where you would find all the Marvel and stuff. It is literally just all adult collectibles. There is literally
just an aisle full of like 30-plus-year-olds just there, like,
it's just
like checking paint apps and stuff.
It's just either pop vinyl collectors that are looking for the world's perfect box, or there's a bunch of like grown dads looking at Star Wars stuff while the kids pulling at their arm going, I want to look at Transformers.
Yeah. Dad, I want this one. The paint app's not good enough.
My sister's other half just got into collecting. He's just started a mini collection of pop vinyls, and he put it on our family chat, and it was like, I think we're starting a bit of a collection. My wife just went back with, don't do it, for the love of God. So I just I don't know what to talk about. It takes up hardly any space in this entire room that I filled with toys.
Pop vinyl's a really clever one, a really careful one as well, because I mean, Sorrell, I know you love your pop vinyl, but people that collect just pops seem to be really shone, like people look differently at them as collectors, but as a collector I can completely kind of understand the line and the collection and everything like that.
It's a very anything for me, but I can appreciate it.
I was literally just about to use the same terminology, and I see it very much as a gateway drug, if that makes sense. Because people can go out They can go into a store.
Pop
They can
vinyls,
pick
man.
up.
The boxes
they
are
can
so
pick
good.
up-
They stack so well.
Well, that's what I mean. They can literally pick up a physical representation of something that they are familiar with. And the way that pop vinyls are done now, it's like, oh, I liked watching WandaVision on Disney Plus. Oh, look, I can get four pop vinyls that all match this. Oh, well, if I've got that, I should really get a Captain America. And oh, look, I could get all the Avengers. And then all of a sudden it's that. And then they're looking at them and going, well, these are good, but I'd like an authentic representation of the character. And like just on the other side of the aisle, you've got these 6-inch plastic Marvel Legends. Like, oh, these are good. And and then all of a sudden you have a room like all of us. But yeah, but I think they're very much a gateway collector. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've seen there are some pop collectors that I follow on like TikTok and follow me back and
TikTok
stuff.
are massive on it.
And some of their collections are insane, and my hat goes off to them. Like I think that they're absolutely incredible.
When
It's
I
so
saw the
smart
fact-
doing it when they stack in the boxes so well. I know it sounds stupid, but one thing they really nailed, not just the design of things, but it's the packaging. They nailed the packaging from the door because they've not changed it, and it stacks so well. So when people, because what do people collect? A lot of collectors like how things look on a shelf. What do collectors hate? How things are difficult to store. They've just knocked both of that apart. I mean, as like I said, it doesn't necessarily do anything for me. I've got a handful that people have got me, and I quite like them. But like, I've got a factory reject that I turned into a Flash that looks like he's screaming. But they
I got
just
one.
nailed it. Little Shop of Horrors, lovely.
That's my
It's
one.
brilliant, and they are the
Only
best.
because I can use
someone.
that I can use that to photograph with other figures, and it works as an Audio too. That's my one pop vinyl, like
Marvel Retro Hulk versus.
mate. You say that. Why do you
There
think
you go.
it's so
You heard,
accessible?
you heard
No.
it here first.
No. That's why it was out.
Nope, totally my
God.
idea. Nailed it.
But no, you're right. You are completely right. I think the boxing and the packaging is that they're one that, because they came to the game later than some of these other lines. It's like they went, how do we make it perfect from the beginning? And it's very clever, very clever. Whereas a lot of the other lines now they've created these inbox collectors and these mint on card collectors and stuff, whereas pop vinyl kind of came out and went, this is what we're providing, and you get bonus points if you keep it in the box because they're so good. And so hats off to them.
I've still got a Funko Emperor from Star Wars where he's got his hands out like that with the blue lightning coming off of them, and he's a bobblehead, and it's a lot bigger than a pop. It's like about that big. It's like big chunky. And that thing, if I'd have still had the box, it'd be nigh on worth about 300 quid now. It was before the pop line came out.
Wow.
Funko's, when they started doing the head knockers, they were called back then. They were called head knockers, and it was by Funko. And then all of a sudden they became pop vinyls. They changed the name from head knockers to pop vinyls, and that's when the box came out, and that's when the line started officially. But if you've got any of the old head knockers, if you've got any of the old head knockers, they are worth a fortune now. But they're just not in. They've got to be in boxes. They're worthless without the box. My Emperor is completely worthless.
Mine's got his box.
There you go.
I got it in a loot crate. I just never opened it.
Oh yeah, loot crates. Loads of them in the beginning.
You watch next week. Ryan would have sold his head knocker. He always sat there on like a golden throne. Hi, gents.
But
yeah,
which Geek Week in review.
Yeah.
If you've got a slave layer, I would definitely recommend not selling it because that's going to go up in value, not down. Slave layer, they're never going to redo it now.
I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere. I'll find it. It'll be like Time Team. I'll reconstruct it from like
the Time Team.
I was saying, I'll be finding it. Tony Robinson will jump out and go, "Oh, we've been in Ryan's loft this week and we found this and we've reconstructed it." And that's what's going to happen probably.
I often laugh at the idea of like future generations archaeologists looking back, they're just going to find some landfill filled with these stupid little pop vinyls. They're like the Beanie Babies of this generation, aren't they? They're just going to be loads of these damn things in landfill.
Oh God, Beanie Babies! That was actually when couples used to divorce. They used to used to be a big thing, wasn't it? Settle who got what Beanie Babies.
Because somebody said stupidly, these things are going to be worth a fortune in the future.
But some of them are worth money because of that. That's the funny thing.
What a world!
But no, I think the sad thing is with Funkos as well is that you have people buy them because of an investment. They buy them because they think they're going to be worth money without really knowing what they're collecting. So the real collectors know where the value is, but It's the same as, it really gets me on the community groups where you get people that they post about Marvel Legends, for example, and there'll be a picture of them in the shop or in a store, and they're holding two, and they're like, which one should I get, or which one is the rarest and stuff. And it's like, you know what, buy the one you like. It's, don't buy the one that you think is going to go up in value. And no one at the time, when Rogue first came out for Marvel Legends, there was hundreds of her on the shelf, hundreds of them on the shelf, and no one went, I'm going to put this one aside because I bet it becomes a rare one. And it's even in recent years as well, like the retro Spider-Man. Like, we all had an opportunity to buy multiple versions of that, but very few of us did, because we didn't think that, a year later they were going to be worth like 3-4 times the value. Because you don't buy to sell in that respect. So I don't know. They're the collectors that do kind of gripe on me a little bit. The ones that aren't really collectors, they're just trying to make money.
I think Funko is the worst for that. There is, you can spot the resellers a mile away in Smiths, because they have a trolley and they literally just buy like 4 or 5 of the special editions ones. They're going to put them in a box in the attic for 6 months and bring them down and charge 30 quid a pop. And people will buy them because I see it at the convention every weekend. Yeah, conventions every weekend. Literally, there's hundreds of stalls selling pops.
Yeah.
All the stalls are the damn same at Comic Cons now. Pop vinyls. And the prices on some of them. I saw an Indiana Jones little pop, and apparently it was from Hollywood Studios in Florida. And that thing it had the Disney Park sticker on it. And they wanted like 300 quid for it. And I'm like, that's insane money for a little piece of plastic.
Yeah,
that's insane.
That really is. But yeah, there we go. So there you go. First thing for Geek Week moving forward is we're going to have more Funko Pops and more Star Trek. Next week we're going to do the whole episode in Klingon, so get learning.
So my wife has actually started learning Klingon on Duolingo,
but she's a language expert or anything.
Super language. So you know my wife well. Absolute languages. And so she was like, I'll just sometimes I'll be doing something and I'll just hear Doctor in the other room. I'm like, all right, my love.
Mate, if your missus can insult you in Klingon and you not know what she's saying, you need to brush up.
I've been out geeked.
It'll be next week. It'll be hi, it's me, SuperSorrell, and Ryan Speaks Geek's wife. Wife Speaks Geek.
I only know rude words of Klingon because of Big Bang Theory, like Pomfar.
There you go. Yeah. Thanks, Sorrell. Now this video is going to get flagged.
I wonder what the captions was underneath. I saw Matrix 4, by the way. Finally.
2 hours
rubbish.
Getting back.
Do you know what the annoying thing about it was? Right. There's a good movie in there, but it's unnecessarily long. And it's like you see something, you go, that's a really good idea. Why didn't you run with that bit? And then you've just put all this other stuff. So stop piling stuff on top. And then, it's like having something delicious and then just going, I'm going to put every single topping I have in the cupboard on top of it. For 50% of it's meant to be nostalgia, but it doesn't really work because times have moved on. So the nostalgia is sort of not really there. If I want nostalgia in that way, I'll watch the original. And the other half was just like, I don't get it. Like it just didn't need to exist. But the annoying thing is, like I said, there was actually something when I watched it that I could go, there is something good here. Like it's buried, but the concept, there is a good concept here that should have been just what this film was. And they didn't run with that. They tried to go bigger message and bigger this and bigger that. It's like, actually, you should have gone because Matrix 1 isn't a big film.
No,
the
not at all.
2 and 3 are massive films, which again, 2 and 3 in defense of them, I like them, but I don't like them as Matrix films. I don't like the stuff in the Matrix with 50 billion Agent Smiths, but I do like the dystopian war against robots movie that's actually in the middle. But it doesn't need to be the Matrix. I just want a dystopian war film with the giant APCs shooting like billions of bullets at giant robots smashing through the ceiling. I do want that, but not as a Matrix film or 2 Matrix films. But so Matrix 4, again, like I said, there's a really good almost Matrix 1-esque type concept that like in cleverness, and they just sort of barely scrape the barrel of it, and then they just pile on other stuff that it was almost a chore to get through, and that really upset me because I really wanted to enjoy it, and then I got even more annoyed that there was obviously something, there was a gem there that they just ignored. So
I said I would love them to do a Matrix film without Neo, Morpheus, Trinity. Just set it within the Matrix and just go with a new storyline, and it would still work. It'd still be good.
And the Matrix is great.
That's what I mean.
I've
the stories without Neo.
It.
It's a bit like Star Wars and Jedi. If you make a film without the Jedi bit, it's a good Star Wars movie. It doesn't need the Jedis to make it Star Wars. I think Matrix could be the same if they played it right, got rid of the whole the one concept, and just made a series or a film set before Morpheus.
But they could, or they could still reference the same as, but even the same as how they reference the Jedi and the Sith. Done. That's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. No, but they could, but they could do it, but reference it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like they do with Jedi and Sith. Like it's not. They've not got to be part of the story. That they don't have to completely ignore it. But no, I purposely haven't seen it myself because I've read very different things, and I was like, you know what, I need to wait until I'm in the right frame of mind. Maybe watch the others. I don't know. But while we're on the
4 a.m. and there's nothing else on TV.
Yeah.
Oh, Matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Matrix.
Shall I tell you what? One thing that we haven't spoke about that I do have to bring up, because when it comes to retro and it comes to callbacks, it's got to be Cobra Kai without a doubt. Like, have you gents watched it?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen any of it. I like genuinely. I haven't seen even the first season when it first came out. I am that far behind.
You know what?
I am ashamed about that. I am ashamed.
I'm only up to episode 6 of the new series, so I'm watching it. But I'm watching it in a speed that I can enjoy it. But I said this to my wife the other night, and I was like, you know what? When it comes to actual throwbacks, this has got to be one of the best franchises to have done it, because they've created a story that mimics the original films, like mimics the original what we all loved about the Karate Kid, brings in all the original actors to reprise all of their original roles, but done in a way that feels really fresh. Like it just totally works. Like it absolutely, and all of the little cameos and the little kind of, oh, it's this person, oh, it's that person, and even characters that you didn't necessarily remember unless you'd watched the films recently, but then you see them. And they always show the clips of where these characters are from, don't they? They're always show the throwback or get them in the same poses. And you just sort of think, oh, yeah, it's that guy, it's that girl, etc., etc. But I just think it's one of the best things. And what makes it even better is that it originally started as like a YouTube premiere thing, didn't it? They launched and I remember I watched the first episode, I think it was, on YouTube for free, or first 2 episodes. And then I was like, this is incredible. Like, I have to watch more of this. And then it was announced it was coming to Netflix and stuff. So, but yeah, I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And
based on the actual release day alone, they've already commissioned it for seasons 5 and 6.
It's another 2 series.
Yeah, they've already commissioned it for 2 more seasons, because apparently it is one of the cheaper shows for Netflix to budget for, because it doesn't require much in the way of special effects or anything. It's just all the actors in it are all trained, choreographed like martial artists, more or less.
Yeah.
So literally, it's just filming it and the location charges. There's not a massive overhead for that series. It's quite low budget.
That's brilliant. Nice. That is brilliant. But I love it. You've got to catch up. It's it feels like every episode. I can't remember an episode where it didn't get to the end where I had to watch at least a couple of minutes of the next episode, because I was like, oh man, that's such a cliffhanger, or that's such a, and they're just the characters are just brilliant, and it took me right back to the films as well.
Who's your favorite character?
Oh, what, as in new character or old characters?
Well, any character from the Cobra Kai TV series, basically.
I like LaRusso's daughter.
Yeah,
I think she's a really cool character. I think she's got a really good story arc. And as I said, I've not finished this series yet, so I don't know whether it's going to go the way I think it's going to go. But I quite like her kind of being in the shadow of Daniel LaRusso, being trained with karate and all that kind of stuff, and I just really like that. Terry Silver as an old character coming back was just amazing, and the introduction to him and where he had been, and you know, when you look back at who he was in the films to who he was in the series when he first came in, he's and I just remember at the time he was kind of like, I remember watching him and just thinking like, he's bad, but I really like him. He was one of them kind of like, yeah, he's the bad guy, but I really like him. But then I also think that what's his name, Kreese, is really good for you know, he's slipped straight back into that role. But then obviously Johnny's good as well. Like
I think like you're just
nailing
listing every
all the
character in it.
characters.
I think just let me just get
an IMDb reading list now.
Let me just get the character list here. Right, I really know
Billy Zabka as.
But what I really like as well is that there was one episode where Johnny reunited with his kind of gang. Remember that episode? Yeah. And then obviously they're all older guys anyway, but one of the characters dies in the episode and it's kind of his last kind of hoorah. And it was just really nice to see these this came out like a year ago.
Right? The program, you know it's going to happen.
I'm not even going to let you claim that as a spoiler because it aired like a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
and
I know.
From the minute it starts. But it was just really nice to kind of see this kind of real kind of full circle for the characters and see how they'd all developed past these school kind of bullies and stuff. And I don't know, who's your favorite character?
That scene as well that you're on about is so powerful when they're all sort of like mourning over him and they're laying there. That song comes on, "The Show Must Go On" by Queen. It's like, oh my god, it's a very power ballad moment.
But there is, and the writing of it and the direction of it and everything, it's a modern continuation of the Karate Kid that fits perfectly. Like it's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. How about you? Who's your favorite character?
I'm going to try and watch them all this week. This month. I'm going to try and watch all the films this week just to revisit my mind, and then I think I'll start next month.
Go for it.
You don't really need to be honest, because as long as you get remember the basic idea of the first one, it kind of just flows from there, and you learn who all the other characters are from flashback scenes anyway. So I'm
just a nightmare for it. I like. Confession, I am a franchise junkie. I love a franchise to the point where I got the Leprechaun movie box set for Christmas. Yeah, including Leprechaun 4 in space. You know, so I like watching things in order, like I did it with Tremors. Got Shrieker's Island the other day. Can't wait for that one. With Napoleon Dynamite in it. So I will definitely watch. I'll watch the Karate Kid films, and then I think I'll start the series. I just can't. I got to do it. I got to do it.
Do it. Go on, then. Before we leave, who's your favorite?
Yeah, for me, obviously, I like Daniel LaRusso's wife in it just because she questions everything. Like she's the one. Like they're all in this like 80s nostalgia bubble, and she's not. And she's just the one that's constantly going, if you'd have told me that we'd be talking about your rival from your childhood, the karate champion, like, it's just the way she says things. But no, my favorite character is Hawk.
Oh yeah, of course. Hawk is brilliant.
Stingray is just pure hilarious.
But it's the story. It's the story arc of Hawk as well, like where he starts and
we'll talk.
What I also really love
the last few, and then we'll talk about his arc. It's amazing.
Yeah. What I really like as well about it is the way that there's this kind of in joke about how karate is like the be all and end in this particular place, like, and the All Valley Karate Championship is the biggest event of the calendar, like, you know. It's just, and they've kind of made it into a bit of a joke, and how karate, it's all like this bubble of kind of like how it's just brilliant. It's just fantastic. Absolutely love it.
It's definitely a series that just doesn't take itself serious. It's all tongue in cheek. It's all done for comedy effect, but it's still got a story at its heart that's like,
and it hooks you. Like it is a joke, but you're hooked and you're invested in the characters and the story arc. It's just brilliant. Cobra Kai.
It did the same thing that's like Stranger Things did. It captured that like 80s nostalgia vibe from the start, and it just hooks you in to like your childhood.
And everyone loved Karate Kid back in the 80s. Like it was just like everybody enjoyed it. Like if you do the whole, like everyone knows what you're doing.
Yes.
Like, and
every time you find a log, you stand on it. Like,
yeah.
I'm waiting for the moment that is she called the next Karate Kid, the girl.
Yeah,
she's got to come into it.
People are talking about it, aren't they?
The fact that she was also a Miyagi student, technically.
She's got to come
her
into
up
it
as like LaRusso's enemy or like rival or something. That would be awesome to see them two together.
Or Jackie Chan comes into it as because he
with
was
Jada.
obviously the
No,
because he was obviously the new karate. It wasn't the new Karate Kid, was it? It was just
it's just
Karate
called
Kid.
Karate Kid.
But if they
was
kind
Kung
of
Fu, wasn't it? Not karate, so it
that's
changed it
true.
up a lot. It was Kung
Yeah.
Fu because that's what Jackie
But-
Chan does.
Of course. But to have him kind of
That
cameo
would
in
be
it as
funny.
kind of part of the like Illuminati kind of thing, it would just be. But I just love it. I absolutely love it. It's just a brilliant series.
I could just literally see him as a cameo walking past someone like Hawk and going, "Pick up your jacket, put on the jacket, take off your jacket."
What is it? Oh, that's for having
that's
work in the coat check. He works in the coat check.
Yeah.
Just as you go in, take off your jacket. Go away, take it. Don't have a stub. Take your stub.
And he throws it onto the coat hanger with attitude.
But it's just it's a good series. It is a good series.
I've got a good nerdy would you rather to end on.
I was just saying,
Go on, Em.
I've got one more piece of toy news before we go. Just
Go on, Em.
Entertainment Earth. You know the Universal Monsters line by Jada Toys.
Yeah, good line.
Well, do you remember when it was like a month ago, we found out there was an exclusive coming out, which was Frankenstein he come with like a bed slab and he's got the reclining sort of motion on it. Well, now Entertainment Earth have announced that they're getting an exclusive for the glow-in-the-dark creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh,
nice.
So that's the second out of the 4 that have got exclusives. Do you think we'll see the other 2 figures, Bride of Frankenstein and Dracula, also get an exclusive and what it will be?
Absolutely gotta be.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll do, but like, I'm just gonna be thinking about what features they can add on to them though.
That's one thing. Like glow in the dark for Creature of Black Lagoon makes sense. He's green.
Yeah.
They're bound to do it. But the fact that the Frankenstein figure gave us the accessory pieces, Dracula, could they give us a coffin to put him in? Maybe
they could.
Easy
Dracula
package there.
Like a coffin accessory would be nice. But yeah, I'm excited to see where that wave goes because the bendy figures that Jada also makes, the bendy figures by I think Noble help them make them, but it is still under the Jada Toys logo, and they're on wave 4 now of their monsters. So I mean,
they had them in the Hamley's Christmas toy display this year. They were in there,
and they had they've got like Phantom of the Opera and some really random ones from like. I know Phantom of the Opera was like one of the main Universal monsters back in the day, but still, it's like a character that you don't think of as a Universal monster. So I mean, I'd love to see what they do with the actual like 6-inch action figures with that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty exciting. I'm a sucker for anything that glows in the dark as well. Yeah. I'm a nightmare for that. I've got Globocop and Globy-Wan Kenobi.
Hold it up to light. Then
yeah.
Would you rather that you're talking about, Ryan? Let's round up on that one.
The weekly geekly would you rather? Would you rather live in Gotham City or Metropolis?
Oh, Metropolis, hands down. Gotham City was well dark.
Oh, you're approaching this with like a sensible head. I was going for more of a comic book. Like, so I would rather see Batman on the streets than Superman. I mean, yes, don't get me wrong. If you've got a family, I guess, for the safety, you don't want to be in Gotham City. But, just, I guess it's technically the darker one. But,
Is Metropolis where Superman lives?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I just have to double check.
Yeah. I always saw Gotham as a bit of a rundown. Like I know it was always full of money, but it just felt like the Waynes were the only ones that lived there with any money. Everyone else was in poverty. Like I'd rather live in Metropolis.
A fair point. Yeah, go on then.
If I was a Wayne, I'd live in Gotham, hands down, because then I'd have the mansion, the money, and everything else, and then just look down on all the peasants. But yeah, Metropolis felt a bit more well-rounded.
I'm glad I checked because I thought you said Zootropolis.
I
almost blurted out.
I know you said neutral. Yeah, I would like to live in Zootropolis.
I almost blurted out the words, "Can I live with the bunnies?" And then I thought, I don't think he means that though, because I can't imagine Ryan talking about Zootopia. So
I actually absolutely love that film. I'm a sucker for anything Disney and Pixar, but that film in particular, Flash is one of the greatest comedic characters done in that. But it's a brilliant film. That me and Jake thinking about Superman, and your response would have been, "Can I live with the bunnies?" I would have been like, "I missed that comic book."
Your whole physiology, the whole. I thought you were talking about this, and can I live with the bunnies?
It was
like a naughty school child.
It was when Jacob sort of said, "It's for the safety factor." I'm there thinking, it's not safe though. There's full of elephants and tigers.
Yeah, they're all going like primal. It's not.
I genuinely thought
that's-
you said Zootopia.
That
Oh,
is-
jeez. This
that is-
episode.
Right. That's where we end. That is where we end.
30 episodes, it doesn't get any better than this.
Oh, that is going to be the
Episode
clip on the
30.
episode, isn't it? The clip is going to be me going,
Yep.
"I thought you said-"
But I'm
You
Spider-Man.
know that.
Um,
You know that. Speaking of Spider-Man, next week we are going to talk a little bit about No Way Home because we have staged stream on it. And obviously most places now have got kind of the spoiler ban lifted. So I think that we need to talk a little bit about what went down just before Christmas in the Marvel universe. So we will talk about that next week. But I think that's a good place to round it up. It's going to be an easy clip for me to find because it's right at the end. So there we go. But no, that was it. So that is our episode 30 episodes down. We are moving into 2021 and episode 31 as from next week. Thank you very much for watching. If you are still listening, then all the normal things, please do like, share, subscribe, all of those things. If you listen on podcasts, then continue to download, continue to play. I'd really like to see us climb up a little bit higher in the charts. But although the podcast isn't the kind of the reason we do this, we do the video thing as well. But if you are listening on podcasts in the car or in the office or whatever it is, then do please continue to play and download because it is very much appreciated. Check the description below. Obviously, Ryan Speaks Geek's details are there, as well as SuperSorrell's. And if you don't follow the gents already, make sure that you do give them a follow. I think that's about everything for this week.
That's a bit everything off the list, I think. So
I think I've ticked everything off. So until next time, keep it geek.
Oh, damn it! Oh,
got in there too quick.
Damn it!
I'm only joking. Keep it geek.
The Geek Week in Review.